Mark Brown.
And I'm Marquay McCullough. And this is Mark My Words.
I understand the responsibility of being a trainer. It's more to it than just on court.
Right.
These athletes are way more dependent on you than you think. I didn't realize that I had to wear so many hats. Sometimes having to be a psychologist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, man, we got Big Cuz in the building today. We got Jamal Richardson, man. Man, we're gonna start off like this, man. Hottest gym in the country.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Bar none. I'm sure everybody see it via social media. Hottest gym in the country, man. How was that, man? Tell us how you feeling.
Man, first and foremost, man, just appreciate you having me, cuz, on the podcast, man. So I'm just proud of your progression, seeing how you grow and evolve, man. So keep doing what you're doing. Man, it's been cool, man. I think being at Otter Creek, shout out to Otter Creek, Pastor Josh Graves. He actually reached out. What's funny is, me and Spence was, working out at two private gyms. Their daughters play for our Team Be Right AAU program. Right. So, so we had our pro guys come in and things to a degree. And so Pastor Graves, man, just reached out. Right. And just like, look, we got a gym space here at Otter Creek. Nobody ever uses the gym. You guys are more than welcome to use it. And so that's all I needed to tell us. Crazy. And it's been a wrap ever since. But man, it's been cool just to see, really all the attention and everything is, more so being brought to the city. I think a lot of people nationally now really, really aware of what we have going on here in Nashville. Right. And so, that gym been, crazy. Recently, Master Pegues came through.
Yes, sir.
Brought his sons through. Spence worked them out. And but yeah, man, it's pretty dope, man, to see like the amount of people that come through. And more importantly, I think the gym is what makes it special and unique is the energy of the gym.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people when they walk in, they feel they feel the love, they feel that those good vibes and
it's almost like an energy shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, man. So just kind of seeing that unfold, man, and how it's really just taken off. It's been a blessing. So for sure.
For sure. Side question. You mentioned nationally.
Yeah.
Nashville has gained some attention. People around the country, if not the world, are aware that, like, man, there's some really good ball players down in Nashville.
Yeah.
Would you say that it's been like this, or and when I say been like this, is we've had this level of talent.
Yeah.
We've had this level of competition.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe social media has helped. Maybe the likes of a few kids and their social media back, and maybe that's helped. Or is it more so, Nashville has some really good guys, some really good ball players.
Mm-hmm.
The Ron Slays, Ron Mercers.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna name everybody, but you know what I'm saying.
For sure.
Would you say that Nashville has been like this, or was there kind of a drop off? And then it's kind of we now swing it back in the direction that we once were. Yeah,
I think you just said it best. I think really at the peak and pinnacle. I mean, we can even take it back even further. From Uncle Spence. Yeah. During his era, like just the level of talent. Across the city, it was just it was from top to bottom. It was just. It was balanced, and then like you say, you touch into the the Ron Slays, the Marcus Kansas, Mario Moores, Penny Collins, and Odell Bradley's. The list goes on and on. Just seeing those guys kind of carry the mantle and really put the city on. But then we hit it. I think in the stretch it dropped off a little bit. Yeah. It dropped off a little bit, but now I would say within the past 3 or 4 years, just now starting to see an upswing.
Right.
So with the likes of guys like, Darius and Jordan Bone and, got Skyy Clark that just recently moved here. Brandon Miller. And then some hidden gems, too. Yeah. You got guys like Jaylen Jones and Wilton Alexander.
The kid I really like, man, is JP.
Yeah. JP could play. Yeah, JP. Shout out to little bro JP. Now JP got game.
Picking up some offers, man.
Yeah.
I don't really know whether to call it late, but, you know what I'm saying? They coming.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
saying? Absolutely.
And then there's another kid I like. I think he just moved here. What's the kid at Lighthouse? Evan. What's his name? I really like it.
Can play. And those
smooth.
Yeah, and I feel like those players, a kid like JP, just really being under the radar.
Yeah.
It's a lot, and even Evan, you know. But now, I would say this: I think now the platform of social media has helped guys like those that can really play. Just hitting hidden gems. You know, guys that you wouldn't look at and say, like, man, I didn't know that kid played there.
Yeah.
You know, but those are examples of the Damian Lillards and the Steph Currys. You know what I mean? So I think, man, Nashville. I think we're in a great place right now. It can, obviously can always improve and get better, but I think we're trajecting in the right direction though, overall for sure.
Yeah. Hey, JP Evan, I know Ma just mentioned Dame and Steph. Don't let that go to your head. Hey, we're gonna keep working.
Yeah, keep working.
Keep working.
Yeah, keep working.
And in due time we're gonna get ours. But
for sure.
Man, we just named a pool of young talent.
Yeah. All
right. So let's say we're on 2K.
All right.
We got 2K. We got the Nashville version.
Okay.
All right. We got the old head squad.
Okay.
And then we got the young guns. Who you rolling with on 2K?
Man, you know what? It's tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's tough. I mean, we talking about if you're taking the best of this generation compared to, I'm gonna have to go with the old school, and I'm gonna say, and the reason being because me actually, seeing the levels of those guys and actually getting a playing experience, with them, in those summer runs at Vanderbilt.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it was. Man, you feel like you was playing in the NBA,
right?
So I'm telling like it was really that extreme, and I think the difference that lies in that is more of like the competitive edge of everything. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like those guys, they hooped every single day,
right?
Like Monday through Friday, they were hooping at Vanderbilt, and so if you and really it's kind of like a benchmark. Right. So if you really wanted to test your game and see where you really stood, you got to go to Vandy and. It wasn't no thing where you just automatically guaranteed to get picked. You really had to, earn your stripes and earn your keep. You know what I mean? So
you had hoopers there that was spectators.
Oh, for sure, absolutely, yeah. So it was a rite, almost like a rite of passage.
Right.
But then when you got your opportunity and you proved yourself, then you was pretty much solidified by by the OGs. You know what I'm saying? So they vouched for you. But I would probably go with the old heads, man, because just from a talent, I think talent-wise, it was probably even, but I think the difference is it was just that attitude, that mentality. Right. They just really, really those dogs, they had that competitive edge to them. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So I'll probably go with the old heads on that.
Okay. So man, we get a lot of these debates of, like Ken LeBron, could he have played in that '90s era?
Yeah.
So on and so forth. What one or two guys could you see playing in that era that can actually go compete? Skill level, we say it's about neck and neck, they're in the same rim. Right. But what one or two guys could you see that can actually, play during that time and actually compete?
Probably, man. If we talk, are we basing it on current high school players or guys that are already graduated and moved on collegiately, pro, or kind of what's the?
I would say out of this high school pool.
Okay. Probably, man. Probably definitely, man. Skyy, and Brandon for sure. Right. I mean, those guys. I mean, just from a skill standpoint, are pretty elite. But I think they're Brandon now is starting to really tap into like that play hard mode. Every single time.
It's starting to click
up top. And I think now he's starting to understand, once he puts it together, it's more of a mental thing for him. He's starting to really elevate his game, and a big part of that is his intensity, his attention to detail, but just really pushing himself beyond his talent, and that's what's going to really carry him over. But I think he'll probably hold his own, and just because of his talent alone, because he's just that gifted.
Right.
And then Skyy just, Skyy is Skyy.
Yeah.
He's just watching him play this summer against NBA level talent, overseas level talent.
Right.
He held his own. And sometimes you watching him, you forgot. Like, this kid is in high school. Yeah. He's a junior in high school. Right. You know what I mean? So, for sure. I'll probably just, those two just to, name off the top, for sure.
All right, so, Ma, you've been blessed to travel the country.
Yeah.
Basketball has been, almost like not almost, basketball has been a vehicle for you.
No question.
You know, you've been to different, I guess, hoop towns. You know, whether it be Indianapolis, I mean, North Carolina's a hoop state.
Yep.
You know, you've been to Atlanta,
Yep.
been out to LA. You know, list goes on. How does Nashville compare to some of those hoop towns or hoop states?
I think, man, I think we're right there, just in regards of our skill level and talent and ability. You know, obviously with those cities and states, they're a lot bigger than that. You know, a lot bigger than Nashville, city-wise, a lot bigger than Nashville. So there's going to be obviously more of a pull, you know, towards them because they have a lot more schools. They got a lot more, you know, the population's bigger, so that plays a factor. But I just think now, again, I think people are starting to be aware and take notice to what we've got going on here. Again, recently, just having, you know, 2 draft picks with, you know, DG and J Bone, you know, coming out of the city. Then you got a lot of, you know, guys like Skyy, you got Brandon Miller, you got, you know, just a lot of different, you know, guys that are starting to, you know, really, you know, prove themselves and show their worth and show their value. So on a national level, you know, and then you got, again, I go back to with Jaylen Jones, Wilton Alexander, those type of kids that Evan and JP that are now, you know, because of the, you know, the circuit now is starting to become, okay, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and I'm finna put on, you know what I mean? So I think we're right there, man, with those, you know, with those prime cities. You know, again, we just got to continue to just, you know, from a culture standpoint here in the city, we got to continue to push and challenge these kids and making sure we're providing and giving them everything that they need, not only on the court but off the court, because that you're off the court, you know, can carry into successful measures on the court as well. You know what I'm saying? So I think we're right there, man. You know, so, you know, we gonna compete. You know, we ain't backing down from nobody. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. So for sure.
Man, I'm gonna create a little smoke with this question, man. You know,
all right.
We talking about hoop, you know, different hoop states, different hoop cities.
Yeah.
What about Nashville versus Memphis, man?
We better than Memphis. We better than Memphis. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like you know, Memphis for a long time has. I'm not going. Let's just call it what it is. At one period of time, they dominated.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Not to cut you off, man, it was. You go other places. You know what I'm saying? You go to other states, and you hoop. People threw that Memphis tag.
Yeah, facts.
I was like, nah, bro, I'm from
Nashville, right? Yeah, for sure. So now, in my opinion, it's not even close. In my opinion, it's not even close, man. Right. I think we have not only closed the gap, but I think we've even overtaken that. You know what I'm saying? So, we was going, the state championship was going to come back to Nashville this year too, you know, but, obviously with, you know, everything going on with COVID and cut the season short, but no, that would be a good matchup though. I think Nashville versus Memphis, I think it would be good, man. Memphis has always been, you know, a well-respected city around the country in regards to hooping, man. And so, even that within itself has brought some attention to our state, you know, because Tennessee's known as a football state, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think now we've closed. I think we've not only closed the gap, but now I think we've starting to, you know, separate ourselves and take a step ahead of them. But yeah, man, you know, I love to see that matchup. You know what I'm saying? For sure, absolutely.
So we've closed that gap, and we've even gained a little ground. Statewide. What is it going to take to get us over that hump nationally? What do you think?
Man, I think, honestly, man, I'm going to say this. I think being able to keep, you know, to some degree, keep guys here in terms of like an AAU standpoint. You know, establishing an AAU program, kind of similar to what NYBA is doing. You know, just really keeping our kids here to be able to really, I think, bolster and push it more. But until, you know, for the time being, I mean, again, you know, at the end of the day, you still have to put your child in the best situation possible, you know, to get what they need. But I think I'm gonna use this as an example. Team Nashville, shout out to Coach Battle and Coach Brandon. You know, this is when Jamonte Graham, Cornell, Asa Duval, so on and so forth. We had really all those kids from the Middle Tennessee area, Nashville area, and that group was able to go out and beat a lot of the top teams in the country and really put Nashville on. So I think, that foundation and that standpoint just really shows, like, if we can just keep our top talent together,
right.
and again, it's just like being a GM. You can't, not having the most talent doesn't mean you're gonna have the best team.
Right.
You got to build your team, based on, again, trying to win a championship, team and build a championship culture. You're gonna need, defenders. You're gonna need shooters.
Right.
But you definitely need your dogs too.
Right.
You need your top dogs that can.
Yeah.
When it's late game, crunch time, I need you to be the top 5 player in the country. So I think that standpoint, if we can keep our talent here and establish something, it's not going to be obviously under one program, but maybe having, 1, 2, or 3 programs that these kids can feed to rather than having to go out of town to go find an AAU team, or even having to go to Memphis to play, so. But the likes of like an EAB, the likes of NYBA and so on and so forth, those type of programs being established, and those kids are now, staying put here to do that. I think that'll really help bolster and take things up to a whole nother notch.
Sounds good, man. Man, Ma, let's rewind.
Mm-hmm.
Before the pub, before 8,000 or so followers, before the cameras, man, tell us I was there. Tell our viewers, man, how this whole training process started.
Yeah.
How it came about. How we really had to kind of get it out of the mud.
For sure.
To what it has blossomed to today.
Yeah, it's been a it's funny, man. I probably like 2 days ago, I just sat down, was on my balcony at the crib and just took some time to reflect, kind of just thinking about the process of everything and being where I am and where I'm going to go. But, man, funny, man, I tell this story all the time, when I'm on interviews is, I never, aspired to be a trainer. You know what I mean? I never, had aspirations of wake up and, man, I want to be a basketball trainer.
Right.
Never crossed my mind at all.
Yeah.
I went to school for electrical computer engineering. And then so when I stopped playing college ball, transferred to TSU, my mindset was just school.
Right.
I was going to finish school, I'm going to lock in, just get it done, get a job, just go make money and, just try to, be as successful as I can in there.
Right.
But I got back, I remember Spence calling me, and that's when he first started training, and so he kind of just, look, because I know you coming back from school, and man, I think you would be a great addition to what I got going on, and I want you, we can build this thing together as family, so on and so forth. And so, I didn't think anything of it at the time. So, so when I transferred, I still was in that space of trying to adjust because it was different and unique from having to not be an athlete.
Right. And
that was a struggle for me at times because I'm so used to, grinding and working and being in the gym and having a consistent schedule. But now it's different because, after I get done with class, I got so much free time on my hand, and so I didn't know how to manage and operate that free time. So, so I just, I went out, helped Spence out. This is when he was at Franklin Fieldhouse at the time. Was formerly known as USBA. Helped him with a skills clinic, man, and then boom, I was like, man, this is what's up. You know what I mean? Have fun, and I really enjoyed it. I had fun, and so that kind of sparked my interest. And then I filled in and helped Spencer's. He had a team out at Innsworth Futures League, 6th grade team.
Right.
And so Spencer had to go out of town, so I filled in for him. And we had played one of the, we was 6th grade, but we had played against the best 7th grade team in that league.
Right.
And we ended up beating them in double overtime.
Yeah.
And so that was my first time ever coaching and everything. So, and so one of the parents, one of the kids had a younger brother. The parent came up to me, Coach, look, I've got it was his stepfather. He said, look, I got a stepson. He wants to play, but we don't have a coach. And, you've done a great job in this game, and we want you to coach.
Right.
And then from there, started. That's how I got into coaching, and then boom, started working with players from that point on. So, but yeah, man, it was a grind. Just when me and you was in there having to go sneak in gyms and getting kicked out and going to working out outside, and it was really a grind, man. Like it was really, but I mean we just loved. We just loved the process so much. We was willing to do anything and everything to get work in.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but that's helped. I think that's really helped, and just really that feeling of the satisfaction of being able to improve and work on your craft and mold your game. That's really helped us get to where we are. You know what I'm saying? So we still got a long way to go. Right. That's the thing about it. Right. So never content at all.
Yeah. Sidebar real quick, man. Speaking of process, man, shout out to Coach Adrian. Coach Bugs, 10 years in, man.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Another Nashville guy.
Yeah.
That's, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's putting on for the city.
For sure.
That's molding a lot of great young talent.
Yep.
It has a pool of, pros, overseas NBA guys themselves. So
for sure.
Which again, is just tapping back into, again, Nashville. Man, it's here.
Yeah.
And we got it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of time before, things really blow up.
Yeah.
But back to you, Ma, man. When did it click, like in your mind? We're back home.
Mm-hmm.
Back home, TSU. Finishing school. Aunt calls you.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to come help me out. Work with some kids, coach, train, work the clinics, and then from there, seeds started to sprout.
Yeah.
But when did it click in your mind where it was like obviously we love basketball, we love the game,
right.
It's in us. When did it click in your mind as a trainer, or as an up and coming trainer, and it's just like, man, this is it.
Yeah, I think probably, man, when I first started working with Marcus Fitzgerald, and when I first started working with Darius. This is when Darius he had just moved here, and Coach Carlos with WACG. Shout out to Coach Carlos.
Right.
He had at that time, like, my name was really starting to kind of really get out there and buzz, and so he had connected me with to Winston and Felicia. Those were Darius' parents, and also Gavin Schoenwald, Terry Schoenwald connected as well, and then when I started working with him, and then also to Jordan, I started working with Jordan Bone too. But man, it was, I think once they started to grow and evolve, the three of them, then it became like, boom.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think the biggest moment was probably when I first started working with Rob Covington too.
Right.
Rob, Pat, man, that summer was crazy.
Yeah.
It was Rob, Pat, Will Peters, DeMonte Harper, Thomas Steele, and so many other guys. But we was at TSU almost every day,
right.
Twice a day.
Right.
And then that's when it really just started to really catapult. And then people really, and I really wasn't, I've never been, at that time, I really wasn't a big social media person. I really wasn't really active and posting videos and stuff. But my name was just here. Go see Maul. But at that point, when I first started working with those three, then it really became like, boom. Right. All right, this is where it's at. This is what I want to do. And just having the opportunity. And then I think, again, just fall in love with the process. And when you actually see the growth, you see the struggles, you see the highs, the lows, and being able to have to navigate through that mentally and navigate through that spiritually. That's when it was like, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Right.
Yeah, and I it didn't feel like work. So being in the gym 9-10 hours a day.
Yeah.
And I get home, I'm tired, but I feel accomplished because I feel like I've poured myself into people and helping them attain their goals and reach their dreams, and then right back up at 5-6 in the morning, I'm ready to go to work, and that's when I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. Yeah.
So name Ma, go check out Ma. Do this for Ma. hit up Ma, inquire from Ma. Now that's exemplified.
Right.
How do you handle it? You know what I'm saying? Because you probably right now, you probably don't have your phone, but your phone is probably buzzing right now. You know what I'm saying? You got a little kid or somebody, a parent, somebody in your DMs right now. Jamal, when are you available?
Right.
Can you come here?
Right.
Can I get in with you?
Yeah.
How do you handle it?
Man, it's balance. I think being able to, because as one thing I've learned through this process is as much as you give yourself to you're devoting and really giving yourself to a lot of people. Because even with parents, helping educate them through this process to players on all various levels, you do have to find time to debrief and pour back into yourself.
Right.
So there's times when I have a cutoff time when I won't take calls.
Right.
I won't take text messages. It's not to be rude. It's not to be, but I just need that time. I need that space for me to be able to relax and to recharge and to refuel my mind, refuel my body and my spirit, and that balance is so critical.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I think, and that's something I struggle with because it's hard for me to say no at times.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, and then also understanding too, I can't take on the world. There's gonna be there's a lot of people that I feel like I want to just help everybody as much as possible. But sometimes the best way to me to help is to refer to other trainers. Look, I don't have the room and flexibility, but you can go see Adrian Williamson. You can go see Marcus Kinzer. You can go see Jeremiah Crutcher and Tony with PTW training. Like that within itself too. That's still that's still an extension of me helping them out.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I may not be able to physically work with your child, but these are guys that that are well respected, that are just as good as myself and know what they're doing.
Right.
So now that's just my extension, and that's my connection to be able to say, okay, I'm helping, not only you, but I'm helping them even grow their brand, grow their their clientele base. So but balance, man, I think that's really been the biggest thing that's really kind of helped me cope with everything, and then staying humble too. It's easy as you one thing I will say is as I've grown and evolved and my status has really grown, I've always remained humble in everything, because it's as hard as I've worked to get here, is that easy to be taken away. And I know that I haven't been a part of this process alone, but that's why I never forget our times when we worked out. Kareem, when he was going through his process of hooping, like all of that helped play a part into where we have all grown and evolved and gotten to a place in life where we, like, man, that was like, if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't be successful in the way we are now. So
Me and Mark were talking about this the other day. You see guys on social media like throwing a tennis ball up, smacking you with a pad, catching a layup, throwing it on your back, putting one ribbon over your head. What do you think? Do you think that stuff is beneficial and translate to the game, or you think it's just a waste of time?
And that's a great. That's funny, man. That's a great topic. It's funny. Me and Spencer actually talked about this the other day. One thing I've never, my disposition on it, like I've never wanted to knock anybody's method or process, because there are going to be some things that you do that looks extreme and is not normal, but as long as it gets results and it works, Now, let's just call it what it is. Some of it is a little extreme, but I feel like if you have an ability to be able to articulate the purpose behind it, like if I'm throwing up a tennis ball, like what is that helping me do? Well, it's going to help with your hand-eye coordination. It's going to help with your reaction. It's going to be able to help for you to, if I'm in the air, and if I'm in the air, I'm going to have to adjust and maneuver. Being able to be comfortable with doing that. Like if you're able to articulate and explain that, then I don't have a problem with it. I've seen recently. I mean, and this is probably one of the bad raps on training is, like even with using cones, and cones don't move. Well, All right, well, you say cones don't move, but you know, I watch, man, Phil Handy, you know, one of the guys I looked up to training. Right. Well, he's working out LeBron, and they've got cones, and this LeBron's one of the greatest players of all time. So if we're gonna don't use cones. Well, man, this you know, this is one of the best players in the world. Right. Working out with one of the best trainers that, you know, that's an OG in the training game for a long time, and he's using cones. So why can't I use cones? Right. And so that's why I think my methodology on it, man, is, you know, there's a madness to the method sometimes, and so if it translates and if it works for that player, and you're getting the positive results from it, then why not, you know, continue to use it? But that's kind of been like the rap in our industry, and that's what kind of makes our industry, you know, because we already get a bad rap for ruining, quote unquote, ruining basketball. Right. But now the back and forth of, you know, clown drills and all that type of stuff, like, it's just like, don't knock if it works, you know, just because it's different, that doesn't make it wrong. You know what I'm saying? So there are a lot,
just because you wouldn't do it,
right?
It doesn't
make it wrong. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you got to kind of know, what works for the player. You know what I mean? Because you can't train everybody the same way, right? Because every player is different, different. You know, physically they're different, their mannerisms are different. So it's kind of, you know, one of those things. It's, you know, I just look at it, man, if it works for you, it works for you. But, you know, some of it sometimes can be, and you'll know, like, some of it is scratch your head, like, nah, this ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is this even working on? I've seen, I remember being on Twitter, it was one guy, he was, had him spinning on the floor and just doing something crazy. And I'm just like, all right, look, I'm not going to lie. That does not translate to any form of basketball at all. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
What was the one video? It was two guys. They had a kid outside, and man, they had him jumping out of tires. They was hitting him with boxing gloves. Man, they had him spinning in circles. I was just like, man.
I remember that.
But yeah, like, that's a funny video. But you have a lot of people with that perception on training. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, nah, like, that's two guys and a kid. Yeah, that's clown stuff. Yeah. But that doesn't represent. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Basketball, individual skill development, training, or however you want to spin it. Yeah. That doesn't represent the industry.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's one instance.
Right.
And that's poor quality. That's bad. I feel sorry for the kid.
Right.
If the parents pay for it,
that's on them.
Man, I feel bad, but that's not the training game.
Right. You know exactly. What I'm saying? And that's a good point. And I kind of just feel like this too, man. I mean, that's just, you know, what you just said was just spot on. And to add to that, like, there's, you know, it's easy to take one thing and put it out there, and then now the assumption is all based off of that one video. And that happens in everyday life. I mean, look at us as black people. If there's a black person that commits a crime, you know, he's got, you know, dreads or so on and so forth, well, it's easy to categorize all black men and say, well, all black people do. All black people are bad. All black people do. So it's like that perception thing is really something that you can't control. But at the same time, you do have to speak out on it at times to say, like, nah, don't take one representation of something and try to group it all together, because then I think that's being irresponsible. Right. You know, so if you're gonna kind of just assume and base it off that one video, okay, well, you're not doing your due diligence. You're not doing your research, because if you're gonna lump and put all that together and claim that as, okay, this is what no, it's not. Yeah.
It's almost like forming a prejudice.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
On training, when that's definitely not the case. When, you know, you just name 5 or 6 trainers along with yourself that y'all work too hard. Y'all study the game. Y'all played the game.
Right.
You know, y'all bless tens, if not hundreds. You know what I'm saying? If not, you know, over 1,000 kids that y'all all have touched or worked with individually.
Yep.
Nah, I mean, y'all put too much in to the game, to these kids, to these players, and to these parents, to be categorized with with clown activity or clown trainers, drills and stuff like that. So
twofold question.
Yep.
One, when you were growing up, what was the process like as far as getting better? And two, me and Mark were thinking about like when we grew up. I think we met you, or he already knew you guys, but I think I met you guys high school maybe when it was you, Spence, and Penny, and we went to the camp. But prior to that, I think the only trainer was like there was a Better Basketball DVD I think you used to watch.
Right, yeah.
And then like your dad would take you out in the backyard. So one, what did you used to do growing up and how was training different then? And if you could pinpoint like when do you think training became a thing like that's Darius Garland's trainer or this or that. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, me and Cuz, I already know. My pops, shout out shout out my pops, man. Jamal Richardson, man. Look, I'm gonna say this, like I love my pops to the end of time, man. And I mean, my pops was, and because man, we went to the extreme. I mean, like really, man, every day. We used to go to Belshire. Used to go to, and what he used to after school, we would work out. I used to go to either Shepherdwood or I would go to Cleveland Center. And I'd work out for like an hour and a half after school. And then after I worked out, like he would just drop me off. All right, I'm leaving you at the center. Go hoop. You know what I'm saying? Play with older guys. So really, that was really my only process. Like, and he was the only person that I worked with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so pretty much everything that I learned and studied came through him. You know what I mean? And so I used to do the little up and under. We used to work on that turnaround. That turnaround jump shot. And this what Uncle Spence. This what that turnaround jump shot. He fade from the side. And you already know about the popcorn weights. You know what I'm saying? Man. The good old popcorn weights in the garage. But it was really, man, just throwback. Your old, you just put the army boots on, make me run around the neighborhood, all that type of stuff. It's funny because I think like when Spence started, and then when I got involved with him, and I don't know. Again, I'm just gonna speak on our situation, but I don't know about anybody else's situation when they got started and things to that degree. I know when we first got started, then I think it started to become like, people just started to train, which was cool. But I think because during that time, I'm gonna say this, during my time, we really didn't have trainers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like even when Mark came up, that's when it probably just started to like really bubble. But when I played, like, because you got to think a lot of the guys, we was talking about the runs at Vanderbilt back when I was playing. Like those guys were still active and playing. So like Dante Jones, Josh Cooperwood, Corey Allen, like all those guys. So they were still hooping and they were still playing. They were still in their primes playing professionally overseas and still getting money from hooping. So we really didn't have that training structure that's already established now. So I'd probably say, man, probably around Mark's era is when it really started to kind of like first bubble, and then from that point, man, I think it just took off from there, And so, but the intent behind it, man, again, you can kind of tell the difference in regards to who's doing it because they actually love it,
right?
And then who's doing it just for for money purposes. And,
right.
I mean, and no offense to that, but again, it's all about a mindset and what your intentions are. If you're really into the process and really want to help people really get better, you can sense and know that. You know what I'm saying? But it got to a point, man. Training started becoming like rapping. Like everybody was doing it. You know what I'm saying? And it got hot. Everybody was doing it. So, but that's what I did, man. When I was young, man, I created everything to my pops. And then when I got to college, I was able to take a lot of the things that we worked on from individual workouts, and then just studying. Man, I just watched a ton and tons and tons and tons and tons of film, and so that's what helped my game evolve to what it was in high school, and But I dedicate a lot of that to Pop. So he did me the same way, did Mark the same way, Kareem the same way, Spence did him the same way too. So it was kind of like that was like your rite of passage.
Yeah.
You know, you had to go through Pops before anything and everything. And so once you got that stamp from him, you was straight. So that's kind of what my process was at that time.
But let's tap back into your training, Mal.
Yeah.
We have a wide variety, and we got we have guys and girls at all levels.
Yeah.
My first question is there a general approach to training? Just training, no matter the age, no matter the level, no matter the gender. Is there a general approach to training or to your training?
I think I would say the general approach is, what is your purpose? You know what I mean? So I every player, like you just mentioned, from beginners all the way up to professional, men, women, like, what is your purpose? You know what I mean? I feel like everybody has a purpose in what they do. And so there's a reasoning behind why you're here.
Right.
But everybody's reasoning of that is different. So me being in the gym and you being in the gym, you may be working for something completely different from me,
right,
but we do have one thing in common, and that's our purpose.
Right.
So what is that? And I always reiterate and I always remind players, when you step on the floor, whatever you're working for, because everybody's mind is different.
Right.
Like, of course, everybody wants to play at the top level,
right,
professional, but there's some that don't. I've had players that strictly say, "Coach, I just want to go play college basketball and get my degree, and that's it. Like, I'm just really playing this game so I can get a free education, point blank, period."
Right.
So I think from the general, the general approach aspect of that element is, what is your purpose? Because I think once you understand what your purpose is and why you're doing what you're doing, then I think that pushes you and drives you, and it helps to help get over those days when you don't feel like going,
right,
get over those moments in workouts where you struggle, you can't make a shot, you dribbling the ball off your leg, you can't, so those, and when you keep that in your heart, then I really think that just helps push you to a whole different level.
Right.
And that can be applied to, your purpose can be applied to any skill level, all of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think, and when players keep that, when they keep that first and they keep that in their forefront, well, now I'm gonna hold you accountable for that.
Right.
All right, you want to go to the NBA, or you want to go to the WNBA, or you want to go, you want basketball, you want to use basketball as a tool to help get a free education. Well, why you miss this workout?
Right.
Or why, why you showing up late?
Yeah.
Why aren't you staying 20, 30 minutes after your workout, or 20, 30 minutes after practice to put in extra time?
Right.
Why are you the first one to leave after practice? You know what I mean? So I think your purpose, man, plays a big part and a big factor into you helping evolve and getting to where you need to get to. You know what I mean? So I would probably go with that.
So, I guess let's talk particular levels. You have your, I guess all high school is amateur, but
right,
you have, I guess, kind of the like beginners.
Yep.
And then you have, the amateur group, middle school, high school. You have college guys, and then you have pros.
Right.
Is there any distinct methods or preparation that you do for those level in particular, or is it more so, this guy or this girl, they're a basketball player,
right, they
want to get better, and they're here with me,
right,
let's get it? Or is it, man, I got a guy that's, a vet, a pro vet, or I got a guy that's, a veteran college player, or I got this high school kid that's sophomore, junior. Do you attack those any differently, or is it, like I said, it's a basketball player, they're in the gym with me, let's get better?
Yeah, I would probably see, if they're, if you're trying to get better, then let's work.
Right.
Regardless of level. Now I think your approach is kind of different, because again, you just have to understand once again, you can't train everybody the same way. Right. And so you got to understand what type of player you're dealing with. So, obviously with youth, but I will say this, I think the commonality from youth all the way to pro, fundamentals. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Even at the pro level, fundamentals do not dissipate.
It goes with you.
It goes with you at all levels. So if there's one common element that you can, I'll just speak on myself, that I've been able to take from working with a beginner and working with a pro, is the fundamental element of it. And you'd be surprised sometimes, like some pro guys lack, and some pro, some pro men and women, some of them lack fundamentals.
Man, I remember a story. Penny told us when he was doing some things with the Atlanta Hawks. Mm-hmm. He played at Belmont.
Yep.
That's fundamental. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
that's the epitome of fundamental basketball.
Yep.
But he's practicing, working out, or he's with the Atlanta Hawks, and man, it was guys like what's my guy name, left-handed wing, Josh Smith.
Yep, Josh Smith.
You know what I'm saying? Like you got high-profile guys like that. You think like, man, this guy's was a McDonald's All-American. He was one of the better wings in the league at that time, and it's just you kind of had a stigma of like, whether it's fundamentals or elite skills, like he got it.
You got it right.
And the first part of practice or the workout, and they're doing fundamental drills or whatever, and Penny, his mind is, I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years. You know what I'm saying? This is what we do every day in practice at Belmont.
Facts.
But you seen high level professional guys that were kind of stumbling or dribbling the ball if they feel, like you said, just doing fundamental things. But but you don't see that when he's on TNT Sunday at 4 p.m.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, climbing the rim.
Right.
You know what I'm saying, ESPN top 10.
Facts.
So I think when I heard that from Penny, it was just like, man, like, you know what I'm saying, like you don't necessarily have to. You want to evolve. You want to be the best basketball player or athlete you can be.
Right.
But I think fundamentals is that's something you should always have in your. We talk about a bag.
Right.
You know
Absolutely.
what I'm saying? Like little bro, or you know what I'm saying, or old girl got in her bag today.
Right.
That's something that you should have in your bag at all levels, at all times.
All times.
And I think, going back to how social media, or how certain videos or certain instances via social media can kind of paint a tainted picture or give a tainted perception, of training, and kids, pick up on that, like you got the James Harden step back, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's working on that, but it's the small details. It's the small details, the footwork,
right,
or the fundamentals that James Harden practices every day that we don't see, that he practices every day. Exactly. That's led up to that step back.
Yep.
Hey man, they're not blowing a whistle, bro.
Hey man, we're gonna let it ride.
They're not blowing a whistle,
Do it quick enough that way not.
But fundamentals, man. It's definitely. But and it's one of those when you think fundamentals, the perception of fundamentals is, boring.
Right. Yeah.
It's boring, or it's not a highlight. We have to do a better job of. No, it's not boring.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Or no, it's not. At the end of the day, there ain't no style points.
No.
You know what I'm saying? A 2 is a 2, a 3 is a 3, and a free throw is 1. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Or in the big 3, you got the 4-point shot, but it's no style points. You know what I'm saying? We just got to get the job done. Now, sometimes getting the job done, you got to put a little sauce on it. You know what I'm saying? You got to wiggle a little bit. But fundamentals is a huge staple in the game.
Yeah.
And when you look at some of these big-time college or even NBA rosters, man, 90% of the guys in the league, or most of the guys on that roster, are not a Westbrook, or not a LeBron, or not a Donovan Mitchell, Dame Lillard. It's fundamentally sound, role players, you know, that bring one or two things to the table that complement that star player.
Absolutely.
And I think kids, need to hone in on that more.
Yep.
Parents need to hone on that more. I think, you know, our jobs as trainer and coaches, we got to do a better job of painting that picture.
Absolutely.
And feeding that. You know what I'm saying? Almost force feeding that, because this is something you can take not only to every level, but to any program or coach you play for.
Go for it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, man, last thing, Maul, you know, we talked about, you know, your journey. We've talked about Nashville, you know, where it was once here, kind of seen it drop off, and now we're back on that rise. Getting back to where we're supposed to be. But one thing I don't think has changed, or one thing I don't think has changed, you know, it's always been there, or if not, it's growing now, is women's basketball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Women's basketball in Middle Tennessee has that's some of the best basketball you're gonna see
you ain't lying.
in the country.
Absolutely.
You know, you've had a chance to you not only work with guys, you work with some women, girls, and women's basketball players.
Absolutely.
That can go. I mean, you got Team Be Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Y'all, Team Be Right is one of the best girls AU programs in the country. Yeah. And that's, you know, and that's one of those, you know, basketball is basketball. Right. You know what I'm saying? There's no, if you can hoop, you can hoop. There's no gender. There's no color. If you can hoop, you can hoop. But me, I you know, and I think Kobe was shining, RP to Kobe, he was shining that light on women's basketball. Yeah, for sure. Because they can hoop, and it's something we just speak of fundamentals. It's very fundamentally sound basketball, but you got some girls that can go. You got some dogs. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got them. Team Be Right got them. You know what I'm saying? As well, you know, you got Flight. You have Pride. Yep. You have the perception of women's basketball is it, you know, nah, bro, they can go. They can go, bro. Yeah. They can go. You know what I'm saying? You got, you know, WNBA. You got, you know, women's college hoops. You know, so to me, it's some of the best basketball you can watch.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, I think now, like you said, man, RIP Kobe, you know, really, really being a huge supporter and advocate for, you know, the WNBA and just women's basketball as a whole, you know, and RIP Gigi as well, and to her teammates that passed and all the people that passed on the accident. But you know, Kobe just being fully into not only coaching his daughter but pouring into the women's game. And when I started, man, I did not want to coach women's basketball. I'm not gonna lie to you. Right. And Spence was the one that pulled me into it. And I'm gonna say this: I think, and people may not realize this, but women's AAU, the travel basketball circuit, is way bigger than the boys basketball circuit. Right. Because the boys basketball circuit, I will say this: you know, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, the shoe sponsored, like that's the meat of their summer in terms of attention. But then you have a lot of independent programs that don't get as much attention and shine. That's it's completely different on the women's side of things. I mean, you definitely got your three circuits. You got you know girls EYBL, got your Under Armour, which we're a part of. Shout out to UA. And you know, Three Stripes, you know, women's basketball. But you also have, you know, the open division tournaments, and those tournaments, you know, prime example like Run for the Roses, Battle in the Borough, like you have over 1,000 teams. You know what I mean? Just think about that. You got almost over 1,000 teams in a tournament. Right. So you got it. So I think, you know, the women's game, you know, is finally, I'm gonna say finally, because, you know, like you said, just from a talent and just a talent and fundamental standpoint, like, and the women's game has been phenomenal. It's been phenomenal for years. I think now people are starting to open up their eyes. Right. Prime example, I mean, we got a WNBA champion here in Alicia Clark. Right. You know what I'm saying? And she you know, and again, I feel like she epitomizes, you know, and, you know, shout out to Marcus Kinsey, Skill Wing, shout out to Skill Wing, but you know, his process in helping her develop and grow, like, people got to realize, like, her game isn't, you know, she's not gonna hit you with, you know, this, that, and the third, but she's fundamental, she's solid, she stays within herself, she knows her role, and that's caused her to have a phenomenal career over the years. And like, again, she's a WNBA champion, hooping with the likes of, you know, Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart, and then now you even, you know, look at Crystal Dangerfield, man. I mean, recently, she's been tearing it up as a rookie in the WNBA, you know, and so, you know, the women's game, and I'm just gonna speak for it in regards to Middle Tennessee basketball. I think people don't know that Middle Tennessee basketball, and we talk about how on the boys' side, like, we're starting now. Middle Tennessee basketball on the girls' side is known as like one of the premier locations to find talent. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So you got the likes of a Anastasia Hayes and you know,
that whole family,
the whole sisters, and you got you know, you look at Erica Haynes Overton, Lejay Davison. You know, Erica Haynes Overton, you know, I call her video game. You know what I mean? Because she, you know, the stats she was putting up in high school was, you know, like, just crazy. 20 points, give you 12 rebounds and 8 steals. You know what I mean? And, you know, Lejay Davison goes to, you know, comes out of East, wins the state championship, goes to Furman. I think she's like the 3rd or 4th all-time leading scorer there. Right. You know what I mean? And, you know, Erica recently just transferred from East Tennessee State. She's going to Kansas University next year. You know, then you look at Ayana Moore, you know, going to Vandy, you know, one of the top players in the country, one of the top players in the state. So it's, you know, it is so, and, you know, I can go on and on, but
you got some young guns too. You got some middle school girls that's about to step into high school they can, man, they out here hooping with guys and killing them.
Know what I'm saying? I'm gonna speak on one. You know, shout out to Desmond Cambridge. Shout out to Cambridge all day. Yeah. That Jelani Cambridge. Man. Jelani Cambridge, Corey Allen.
Different.
Like, man, different. Like, I'm banking it, man, put money on it. You know, God, you know, I'm praying that they, you know, stay healthy, stay, you know, WNBA. 2 WNBA. Man, no question about it. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, like, those level, that much talent that we have here, not only in the city, but just the women's game as a whole, like, is big time. You know, so eventually, you know, I think the women's game is going to continue to, you know, to grow. And I think I think the bubble has helped, because now they're in cohesion with the NBA schedule, and so, like, now, you know, so not only are you catching the men's game, but now you're catching the women's game too. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, you seeing like Kennedy Carter. I mean, just killer. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? As a rookie, you know, but yeah, man, I think the women's game is going. You know, I know, you know, they talk about the pay and, you know, equal pay and things like that. But it's going, again, I think, you know, popularity within the game it has to start in the recent, it's the women's league has just, you know, recently, you know, it's in the beginning stages of growth. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so I think, you know, you got a lot of people that are really pushing and advocating for women to get paid on this, you know, same equal paying scale as men, but a lot of that has to just really do with revenue, with the popularity of the game.
From a consumer standpoint, you got you got more people tapping in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I truth be told, I would love for the city, man, for Nashville to get a WNBA team. You know what I'm saying? And I think that could, I think if that took place, man, I really feel like that could really, like, we can really bolster, and because, again, like, women's basketball here is so popular, you know, and so having a could you imagine having a WNBA team here in Nashville? And you got to realize how many states we're touching, you know, so you can, you know, people can come from Kentucky, they can come from Alabama and so on and so forth. Like, yeah, absolutely, man. So, but yeah, man, shout out to the women's game, man, and for its growth and for the brand of the women's game pushing. It's going to continue to rise. Absolutely.
Them staying solid.
For sure.
Man, Ma, how we going to end it, man, is, well, I'll leave with a 2-part question. What's your message to, you know, amateur athletes, amateur basketball players, who are aspiring to, crack that varsity roster, who are aspiring to, reach, get a chance to play at the college level. College guys that are aspiring to play pro. What's your message to them, and then what's your message to aspiring trainers?
For the young guys, man, young guys and young women as well, study the game, know how to play the game from up top. I think that's so important. And secondly, be a player that affects winning. Coaches love players that can affect winning. Whether that be, you be a scorer, you be a defender, you be a rebounder, you be an energy player, you be a setup and assist person. Like, find ways to affect winning. And that's not always predicated off scoring. So for me, finding those players that have the intangibles, that have the mental toughness and the competitive edge to them of not wanting to lose, you know what I'm saying, and just wanting to find a way to win by any means necessary. Right. Like, be one of those players, and so, but yeah, study the game. I would really encourage these young athletes. The more you study, it's no different from being in school.
Right.
I think you have a consistent, you put it together, consistent level of studying and being able to understand how to play the game is going to make you that much more effective, and it's going to make your talent grow even more. And so now you don't, because again, at some point in time, your talent is going to level off. I mean, that's just the truth of the matter.
Right.
As you see, you have some players that, they, as they say, have, untapped potential.
Right.
But that potential doesn't get tapped because a lot of times they don't grow and evolve from an IQ standpoint.
Right.
So I think being able to really, grow your basketball acumen, grow your IQ, understand your history too, man.
Right.
Understand your history. Do your research. I know The Last Dance just came out, so a lot of this generation didn't know who Mike was, and probably heard about him. But I think now seeing that is like, all right, man, Mike was, Right. Understand your history. Understand where you come from. Like, what your favorite player had a favorite player. That favorite player had a favorite player. So go back and dig deep and find those elements of history, man, that and then study those players, because you just never, a lot of what those players did, your favorite player modeled and put after their game, but they looked, they did back in Doug history, which goes back to, study. You know what I'm saying? And then for the trainers, aspiring trainers, man, just, I would say, definitely understand the responsibility of being a trainer. It's more to it than just on court.
Right.
A lot of times you don't realize these athletes are way more dependent on you than you think, outside of basketball.
Right.
Because I don't even want to talk on the basketball standpoint. I mean, I think we've talked about that in depth, but I want to speak more on the off court. I didn't realize how important my impact was until I really had players hit me up outside of the game, and so because these players, they go through mental phases, and so off court things that can affect them, that we can get pissed off at them as trainers, and man, you had a bad game, but it may have been something that's going on off the court that nobody had no idea about that affected them on the court, so I didn't realize that I had to wear so many hats. Sometimes having to be a psychologist, you know what I mean, and counseling and being a resource and a voice for players to help guide them and navigate through life, because life is a game, and basketball is, you can easily translate life with basketball. You know what I mean? You're going to have stretches where you hot, everything going well, then you're going to have those moments in life where you can't hit in an ocean. You know what I'm saying? And so us as trainers, I think we have to make sure that we're pouring and molding these kids and molding these athletes into better people. And so mistakes are going to be made.
Yeah.
And there's a level of accountability that we have to hold, but there's also a level of love that we also have to show, you know, these players day in and day out. And sometimes I speak on this, like even, you know, with pro athletes, people forget, man, they're human.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And as great and as talented and as gifted as they are, man, there's so much, you know, on the outside looking in that people don't realize, and they always equate, you know, and you know, we go on Twitter all the time, we go on social media, and how, you know, some of these guys get clowned, and I mean, you look, you know, like KCP. I mean, game one, you struggle, and it happens. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, but you got to realize from a mental standpoint how they can affect him to the degree of, like, you know, it could easily go two ways. It can go positive, it can go negative. Where he was strong enough mentally, positively to, okay, man, it's just, you know, it's just a game. I just had a rough game, but came back game 2 last night and played a phenomenal game. You know what I mean? But yeah, understand, man, that these players, they're human. As talented and as gifted they are, they're human, and they're gonna have moments where they break down. They're gonna have moments when they struggle. They're gonna have moments of weakness, and so us as trainers, making sure that we are there for them through the good, through the bad. Don't just be the trainer that just want to rep and hey, man, I did this when they do well. If they struggle on the court, like, be there with them every step of the way. You know what I'm saying? And be there when they're going through those mental battles of life where, you know, there's things that's really pulling them away from being as successful as they need to be off the court. You know what I mean? So, because these players, man, sometimes they go through depression. They go through those hard moments of doubt and uncertainty. And so, I would just aspire trainers, man, make sure that you're a source of life and a source of love to these players, that, you know, they can go back to you and they can get that from you, and be honest with them. Hold them accountable, man. Hold them accountable. Don't be the guy. Don't be the girl that just tells them everything they want to hear. Like, hold them accountable, man.
What do you say? No gas. Shout out to J Bone.
Yeah, shout out to J Bone. No gas, man. Like, hold them accountable. Like, hold them to a standard of excellence. You know what I'm saying? And so, but yeah, man, that's about it for sure. Yeah.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Leader of the point guard crew, Mr. Jamal Richardson himself. AG basketball, team be right. Man, appreciate you coming through, my big time.
Appreciate y'all, man.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
you blessing us. Appreciate you blessing your trainees, your players. Appreciate you blessing our viewers. Definitely got to get you back on, bro.
No doubt. It was fun, man. I appreciate it. Shout out to Ball All Day, man. Ball All Day. Shout out to you, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Ball All Day. Make sure you like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. You have it here. Mark my words.